yoga people, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about yoga props, why you need them, why you want them, and why you should include them in your practice. Let's get started. Yoga props are really important for multiple different reasons, but one is to make sure that you're maintaining the proper alignment and that you're keeping your body safe in yoga. I also think that they're really great because every time that I use a yoga prop in a class, I always feel like I was that much more comfortable and stable during my practice. So the very first yoga prop I want to talk about is the yoga block. I love my yoga block. I will say that I have heard from others that they want to get into a deeper stretch and they want to try and move into a pose without needing any kind of assistance, but there's nothing wrong with using a yoga block. And like I said, I use it in every practice that I do in yoga. I'll give you an example of where it's really important to include that yoga block. If you're going into pyramid pose, if you're not using a block, what that might look like for some, unless you're incredibly flexible, as you go into the pose, you begin to notice that your spine starts to curve as it's overcompensating because it doesn't have that flexibility in your hamstrings. When you add a block though, you'll notice that you have that added support and you actually are able to really feel the stretch, which is what the pose was intended for. So you're not only taking care of your body, but you're actually doing yourself more service because you're doing the pose as it was intended to be done. So yoga block, highly recommend. I also just want to say that I am going to be talking about Gaiam products today. I love Gaiam products. They are super affordable and they are great quality products. The next prop that I want to talk about is the yoga strap. The yoga strap is kind of the next best thing that I would say you have to include in your yoga practice. Let's just go to another example because I think that's the best way to kind of describe the reason you want to include this. If you're going into a head to knee pose and you begin to try and reach your toes and you notice that coming into that position, you're just starting to overcompensate, you're curving your spine, you're not in correct alignment anymore. Using a yoga strap though, you'll notice that as you pull by bringing the strap around the mound of your foot, you'll notice that you're not only able to lengthen that spine, which is what our spine was meant to be in, is a lengthened spine, you're also able to feel a deeper hamstring stretch without pushing yourself too far, as well as an added bonus of getting some upper body toning in by lifting those elbows. So I highly recommend adding the strap to any pose that you're doing where you're trying to bring your toes and your hands together because it's just a really great option. The next thing is the Bolster. I love the Bolster. It is one of my all-time favorite yoga props, but because I'm so cheap, I took forever to buy my own. I've been using a pillow in the meantime, which you can absolutely do if you find that yoga bolsters are a little bit on the pricey side. So I could understand why somebody would maybe not want to take the plunge and buy a bolster. But if you would like, you can always add a bolster to your practice. And it's great for any kind of prenatal, yin, or restorative style yoga that you're doing. So we'll say goodbye. And last but not least, the yoga mat. So I wanted to, at the very beginning, just share that if you don't have any of these props, that you can always use other things around the house in lieu of them. So for example, the yoga block, you can use a stack of books or a shoebox as opposed to using a block. And it's not going to be as sturdy, but those are kind of the items in the house that I found to be the most compatible or the most similar. And if you find something else that you like more, make sure to comment below so that we can share with the yoga community. As far as a strap, you can always use a bathrobe or a necktie. And it honestly works the exact same. So if you don't want to go out and buy something, just use what you have around the house and that'll be good. I already said the bolster, you could use a pillow, but for the yoga mat, I have heard that some people like to use a towel instead of using the yoga mat, and I think that's perfectly fine. It just really depends on what your comfort level is and if you are happy using the towel. There's also an option for a blanket. If you need to have a little bit of extra comfort and a little bit of thicker material between you and the floor, you can always just add a blanket to that towel. If you do, however, want to go out and purchase your own yoga mat, I highly recommend the Gaiam yoga mats. I have more than 3 of them, but 3 that I kind of rotate through, and I'll go through each of those. This is the one that my husband uses most. We love this yoga mat because it's great for beginners. It's got grip, it's got comfortability, it's a 5mm thickness, and it's also incredibly portable. So it's lightweight, you can take it anywhere with you, and we just love this. So this is on the Gaiam website, and I'll include a link in the description below. I also really like the hemp yoga mat that Gaiam sells. It is called the JUTE yoga mat, and it has hemp string woven into the yoga mat. And hold on one second. Okay, so if you can tell here, it's got hemp woven into the yoga mat, and that's great because it gives you like a little bit of extra grip as you're doing your yoga practice. And I think that's just wonderful for anybody who's like super sweaty, super slippery, and just kind of wants to have that extra grip as they're going into their down dogs or any kind of inversion pose. So that's a great option. Also, the yoga mat that I'm currently sitting on is called the Performance Alignment Yoga Mat. This is probably on the more pricey end of the yoga mat options, but I do recommend it. And then if you want that extra component of the alignment, then you can also add this yoga mat to your arsenal of yoga mats, like me, who has like a ton of yoga mats. You can add this to your yoga mat collection, and that way you have kind of the foot placement of where you're supposed to be or where you want to be, and you have that kind of assist from the alignment divots or impressions in the yoga mat. So that kind of wraps it up. Those are my favorite yoga props. Oh, and then one last thing. So Lavender and Lunge, obviously I have a lavender candle whenever I teach yoga or practice yoga. I think adding a candle as a prop to your class is just a way to kind of relax as you practice your yoga. So comment below, let me know what you think. If you like it, if you have other props or other suggestions, like alternatives for props, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll answer any questions that you have, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe.